Independent origins moment number 1. Adam, Eve, and design diversity. For all those who appreciate the work that we're doing here on Standing for Truth, please hit that subscribe button because we are just getting started. All right, guys, this is Standing for Truth, and this is going to be the first episode in a series of short clips titled Independent Origins Moments. Okay, so I'm really excited for this. They're going to be short, just 2-3 minute clips going over the most common arguments from the critics and providing you guys quick rebuttals and quick responses to these objections and criticisms. You'll quickly realize that most of these arguments are the result of a straw man or simply a misrepresentation. So in this first episode of Independent Origins, we are going to deal with a common objection. We've all heard the straw man argument that attacks the biblical Adam and Eve by asserting there is far too much genetic diversity in humans today to have all come about by just 2 people 6,000 years ago. Well, this is a common argument that starts from the assumption of evolution and the assumption that all DNA differences and DNA diversity essentially is the result of mutations over time. This long process of genetic mistakes and mutations that add genetic diversity from generation to generation. In fact, there is good reason to believe that the majority of nuclear DNA is in fact the result of created nuclear heterozygosity. Now, what this means is that God would have front-loaded Adam and Eve with pre-existing design diversity. In other words, this argument that suggests that there could not have been a literal Adam and Eve simply because creationists would then have to invoke mutation rates that would be fast enough, they say. This has been purported actually by biologos such as Francis Collins, Dr. Vanema in the past. They'll say that these mutation rates would have been fast enough to mutate humans to oblivion. Yes, if all DNA differences are indeed the result of mutations over time, which the evidence suggests they are not, then it would certainly be unfeasible. It would be impossible to explain people today, all originating from just 2 people through mutations, okay? But these critics, these arguments coming from the critics actually argue against what's called evolutionary creation. This is a straw man. This is a misrepresentation. They're coming at it from their basic assumptions that all DNA differences, that all genetic diversity has essentially come about through mutations over time. This is not what we propose as young Earth creationists, okay? If Adam and Eve were front-loaded with designed nuclear heterozygosity, there would be no problem at all in explaining the world's genetic variation in just a few thousand years. God could have essentially front-loaded the genome with as much variation as he wanted to. But in reality, God would have only needed to front-load Adam and Eve with 20 million variants. Humans could have then lost, let's say, half at the flood bottleneck, and still there would be enough genetic variation to explain today's diversity today. Add in mutations over time, and what we see in terms of allelic diversity, in terms of allelic variation, all perfectly explained through the front-loading of Adam and Eve with genetic variation. Thank you so much, guys.